Welcome everyone. Today we'll have a new homing guide for Lost Ark. As you can see behind me, this is a recording of me finally getting my weapon to plus 20. Yes, I was super excited. So in this video, we'll have a look at 3 different parts of homing. First part we'll look at is how to get to 1475, which will unlock the final stage of the Chaos Dungeon, and this give us more loot, right? We'll also have a look at different methods of achieving plus 20 on your weapon, and I'll give you guys different methods and what method I used. So over here I have updated some of the latest notes. So you can see the latest notes is updated from 1445 to 1475. I have added some additional information on what I did with the plus 20 for weapons and what are options. Also, we'll have a look at, what are the expected values for homing from plus 17 to plus 20, because the rates are terrible. So if you guys remember the previous rates to get to plus 15, the rates of getting to plus 20 is extremely hard. So what are the expected number of attempts you should be aware of? And this will help you to better, prepare for those failings. We'll also have a look at a special homing item, which I do plan to make a new video on this one. So the special homing item will be the fused Leapstones. And if you guys know what those are, so if you come over here to the special homing, the fused Leapstones allows you to attempt homing for free using the required amount of the fusing Leapstones for the current level of your gears. So we'll have a look at this briefly, and so we'll plan to make a video to focus on this when I get my weapon to relic level. Because I have been a little delayed with getting my weapon to relic, so I haven't been able to use this item, but I do plan to outline all the methods and the best way to use this item very soon. And finally on the video, what I want to do is I want to briefly talk about how to get more homing materials after 1445 and what I'm doing with my method of getting items. So as you can see in my Mer account, after getting my gear level to 1475, I got lucky on the last one. So I got the extra 1 tap on one of my gear to plus 19. I still have a lot of gold. Yes, the gold video is coming. I keep procrastinating on the gold video. So I haven't really spent too much of my gold on homing my gears. And you can see my gear is not updated. So this is one of the delays. So what I want to share with you guys is to home free to play with the cheapest method and to get you guys to higher levels faster with quicker progression. Now in this video, we'll be using 2 of our notes. So the previous notes we have covers from 1370 all the way up to 1445. And this will be the latest video that will be updated to this version. We'll also be using the homing calculators that Challia has made for us, and this still works wonderfully. So what you want to do is you want to update the prices over here, and this is a very dynamic and also informative calculator we'll still be using in this video as well. Now, if you guys haven't seen how to use these particular calculators, do go back to our previous video so we don't, double lap how to use this one. I'll be using this one to show you guys how I got my item level to 1475 and what are the expected costs and how should you plan for this. Now, jumping over to our latest notes, I'm sure most of you guys know that to get your gear level to 1475, you need all the gears to plus 19. And if I want to show you guys over here, you can see all of my gears are plus 19. But before this, I was actually attempting to get my weapon to plus 20 and leaving one of my gear to plus 18. And this will also achieve the required level. So what you want to notice is, to get all the gears to plus 19, what you're looking at is 2 of the 5% homing attempts. And those are of course greater than the chance of the plus 20, which is at a 3% level. Now, similar to our previous homing guides, what I recommend is to use all the retail materials that you have, whether they are tradable or untradable, use them on the weapon to plus 20. So you should save them until you get your weapon to plus 20. And this is what I did. While my other pieces are still plus 18, I was able to get my weapon to plus 20 by saving all the materials over here. You can see that I still bought some of those from the Mary Secret Shop. So those are the Solar Blessing, Solar Grace, and also the Solar Protection. Those are the items I use on the weapons only. I have not used any of those items on my armor. Now you might be wondering why is this the case. So if you come into the homing calculator, you can see the expected cost of inputting the values of those price of items in the server. You can see the expected cost of using the homing materials from the market or from the untradable ones. And you can see that it is much more costly to use them on armor compared to the weapons. And this is one of the majority reasons I want to rush my weapon to at least plus 19. Now once we have gotten a weapon to plus 19 or 20, what we then can do is we can consider using the untradable retail materials that we get from the field boss, from the the ghost ship, and from any of the resources found in the game that are not tradable, including the logging events over here. So just on a quick touch of the logging event, in case you guys are wondering, for the logging event, I usually go for solar protection depending on the value of items, because this seems to be the best value for exchange for 5 solar protections compared to the other ones. And coming back to this one, so what I have decided is, I have also decided to save all the untradable retail materials for my weapon to go beyond plus 20. And this is one of the reasons you can see over here. I have saved still quite a bit of those, even though my armor is still plus 19. Now, because we have talked about try to get a weapon to plus 20, and believe me guys, this plus 20 came at a little luck. So what I want to do is, I want to outline some of the method that that can help you to get your weapon to plus 20. And just bear with me, we're going to talk about how difficult it is to get one piece of gear to plus 20. So there are 3 methods that you can look into. The first one is to use your retail materials early. Now, it is much cheaper to use retail materials early while your weapon is at a 3 or 5% base level. So this is from plus 17 to plus 19 and then to plus 20. So the method of homing is you want to use your retail materials early, and this tends to give you better, lower cost. Now, if you are not having enough materials and if you have more Leapstones than usual, so what you can do is you can consider the second method. You can wait for your failing, so once you fail 10 times, you'll be maxed out with a bonus rate. So instead of staying on a base rate of 5% or 3%, you can go with 10% or 6% at plus 20 level. And yes, very likely we will fail more than 10 times for each of those homings. Now, the higher cost of the second attempt, of course, is the cost of the Leapstones and also the red destruction stones, and they really do add up after failing 10 times. So the method I decided to use is a combination of using retail materials early and also using retail materials late. So my method is to use retail materials as much as I can as I home for those. And what I have noticed is I tend to have more solar grace and also solar blessing from the Mario Secret Shop. I don't buy solar protection from the Mario Secret Shop, and sometimes I don't have enough solar protection, but that's okay. So I have just been using solar grace and also solar protection for my weapon homing. I later got those solar protection from the logging event. So what I did was, instead of trying to max out all the homing attempts, I basically use as much as retail materials as I can for my weapon whenever I have enough chance to home for my weapon. Now, of course, you can also do the final method. It's when you use all the retail materials whenever you have it to max it out. And this, of course, will give you the maximum rate of success. So even at the base level of 3%, you'll be looking at 3% plus 3% for the first attempt of the weapon homing. And this is what I tend to recommend. And during the weapon homing, I don't think there is too much trick. It is really depends how you want to use the retail materials, and I do recommend using all of those on your weapon. And this is my method of doing it. For me, the solar grace and also solar protection from the market was actually cheaper now, so I actually buy them from the market or I keep them for my homing for my weapon. I only started to sell off those items once I got my weapon to plus 20. And what I do is I also buy solar blessing from the Mario Secret Shop. Now, I do have a calculator over here I want to show you guys. So if you guys haven't seen the calculator over here, so this is a calculator from the Mario Secret Shop. If you put in the price of items over here and you adjust the dynamically of the price over here, you can see that whether it is worth it to buy those items from the Mario Secret Shop. So if you guys haven't seen this, definitely check it out. We have a video on this one. Now, I have also heard, some of my guildmates were talking about different rituals they do for homing for the weapons, because it's very costly. So some of them were spinning on their chair as they home for the weapons, and I was doing closing my eyes, so I was trying to listen to the sound of the success. It is not scientific, but if you have a fun little homing ritual, that can be really good as you try for the weapons. Now, one thing I do want to touch up on for homing after plus 17 is the number of failings you'll be expected to look into. Because the base rate of 5% and also 3%, unlike previously when we're actually homing for, plus 14 or plus 15, the failing attempts will really add up. And this is when you will fail more than 10 times. So this is just some of my rough estimations from my own experience. So on average, attempting from 17 to 19, for each piece of my gears, I was failing about 14 to 20 times for one piece of the gear. And on average for attempting 19 to 20, what I expected for me to fail is about 16 to 30 times when I hit the pity pretty much. And fortunately enough, I have only took 5 attempts for my weapon. So this is by far the biggest saving for me. So while homing for this weapon, I actually didn't record it because I didn't think I would succeed after 5 tries, right? So I actually made it. So this is a surprise to me that I actually didn't take me that long to get weapon to plus 20. But on average, if you're homing for one piece of gear from 19 to 20, you're pretty much looking at around, at least 10 fails or up to 16 fails at least for one piece of gear to plus 20. And this is very important because once you know those rough estimates, you can kind of plan out for your PD. So you can plan out for enough of the Leapstones and also the destruction of the Guardian Stones. We can also look into the bonus rate after we fail. So after failing 10 times, we'll be getting bonus rate, which will be kept at 5% to 3%. So the maximum success of the base success will be 10% and 6% from 17 to 19 and also up to 20. So now if you use the radar materials, you gain another 5 or 3%. So on average, once you have all of those rates added up, so once you have looking at a 15% or a 9% success rate. So what I'm trying to say is from 17 to 19, the maximum rate you're looking at is about 15%. And from 19 to 20, the maximum rate you're looking at is 9%. So once you have all those rates added up, your final expected attempts at this rate is 7 to 11 attempts. So again, guys, not try to confuse you guys with the numbers, but because you'll be homing for different gears, I want you guys to have some expectations of how many attempts you'll be trying for those homings, because they're very, very hard. Now, if you guys remember in our previous homing video, I have talked about how to get more homing materials. And previously, I tried to cover all of those aspects from the Leapstones, from the different stones, and everything else. I won't go back on those, but I just want to add a little bit what I did for 1445 and beyond. I start to buy the red destruction and also blue guardian stones whenever I have too much Leapstones. And when I'm short on those stones, what I tend to do is I don't buy those items at the market price. So let me show you guys over here. Let's say the current market price for the Guardian Stones is about 8 gold, and current price for the Destruction Stones is at 22 gold. What I do is, once you favor those items in your interest list, I check them after maybe 10 or 20 minutes of play, and usually you will be able to buy those for at least 1 or 2 gold cheaper. So notice that there's about 44 stacks selling at 7 gold. Sometimes you can even wait for them to go down to 8, from 8 gold to 7 or 6 gold. Similarly, you can wait for the items to go down by 2 gold. So notice most are selling at 22 gold, but some of those are selling at 20 gold. So make sure you try to buy a bargain to save some gold on those items. The similar method can also be used on the fusion stones. They will go down in price eventually, but most are buying those for 1 gold cheaper. Now going back to the notes over here, I have stopped selling my tradable Leapstones for the past 2 weeks. And because we have the new Guardian events, so those are one of my biggest income for my Leapstones. And this is one of the reasons I was able to do 10 or 20 attempts of homing a week, simply because we get so many Leapstones. And if I don't sell them, I actually need more stones. So I actually bought some of those Guardian Stones and also Destruction Stones. Now, of course, it is still much cheaper to buy those Leapstones from the Mario Secret Shop. So at the current rate of prices, so if I show you guys over here, what you're going to notice is I have only been buying my Leapstones from the Mario Secret Shop, but everything else I kind of stopped buying them because they're not as valuable and I don't really need much of those. So the only thing I buy is the Leapstones. And for my server, the comparison of costs is it costs me about 65 gold per Leapstone from the Mario Secret Shop. And it costs me about 100 gold to buy those from the market. That's because I'm not selling mine, right? Now, once I got myself to 1475, I can then go back to sell the Leapstones I have because I don't need to rush anymore. Now, one thing to notice with the Leapstones is that they have been falling down in price. So you can see the average price of Leapstones goes from 110 gold to 106 gold. Now it's about 100 gold. This is because the weekly Guardian event that gives about 60-70 Leapstones per character, or per account, not per character. So those Leapstones is actually tradable, and most players are selling those. So we actually have a big surplus of the Leapstones. And this is one of the reasons I kind of just, kept them and used them. And this helped me to get to 1475 much faster. And my only goal for this one was to unlock the Chaos Dungeons so I can do those at the highest level. Now before we finish the video, I also want to have a quick coverage on the Fusion Leapstones. I do think those can be a really good way to help you progress quicker in the game, and the method of using them is just coming to the homing NPC and click on special homing. Now one thing you want to notice I haven't used any of my Leapstones. I'm saving those for my weapon. And I have been speaking to our friend Challia about this as well, and he has been testing out those, so I want to give you guys some information in case you guys are not sure how to use those. So the first thing is, what we know so far is that they only use the base rate. So what I mean by the base rate is, at 19 to 20, the base rate of success is only 3%. So if I were to use 16 of those Leapstones, I will only have a 3% of success by attempting this one. This also does not add towards Artisan's energy. So, not only this doesn't give any bonus rate for failing, this doesn't add any bonus Artisan's energy if you fail. So what you kind of want to do is, you want to just look at the base rate, and you can see over here from 19 to 20, it is a 3% success for using 16 of those. Now the question is, when should you use it, right? So what Challia recommended at the moment is to use the homing calculator coming over here and check the cost of homing per item. So you're comparing between armors and also weapons, because all the armors are the same, right? So first you compare the cost of those items, and then you divide it by how many of those is required. So notice that 16 is required over here, and I'm going from 19 and I'm going to 20. So this is the amount I'm calculating and divided by the 16. Now, for example, if I'm doing a different comparison over here, so let's say I go back to 19 on this one, go back to 19. If I'm doing a 19 to 20 over here on the weapon, you can see the cost is much higher. But similarly, the cost of the Leapstones over here is much higher. So what you want to do is, I will make a video on this one because I don't have the video to explain. I'm trying to use numbers to explain to you guys. I'll make the video very soon next week. So you want to check the homing calculator for cost and divide it by the number of Leapstones, of fusing Leapstones that is costly. Because this is a 16, and I believe the weapon is like 36, close to 40. So you want to divide those to check which one is better. And secondly, it's quite important to use the gears that have the lowest or no Artisan's energy. So you want to use the fusion Leapstones on the gears early, because if you succeed on the gears, it will wipe all the Artisan's energy. If you fail, you don't get any of that. So what I plan to do is, let me show you guys my gears. So if we have a look over here, this gear have 0 Artisan's energy, while this gear have about 4.6%. So you want to use the fusion stones on gears with 0 Artisan's energy first. And this is the best way to use them, regardless if you're using on armors or if you're using this on a weapon. And this will help you save quite a bit of materials and also the homing cost. The logic behind not using on the gears with Artisan's energy is because those doesn't accumulate, and the Artisan's energy that was used on them will be kind of wasted. So if you use those on the gears without energy, this means that if you succeed, you save a lot more on those gears. Now, hopefully you guys found this video helpful. And remember guys, there is no rush to get to 1475, because the only thing you will unlock is the Chaos Dungeons. And I was able to clear the Valton with a lot of other players who have 1445, so there is no need to rush to this level yet. For me, it was just more convenient, and I have the method, I have the testing. I want to make the video for you guys. And this is one of the reasons I want to get the cheapest method to get to this level. And if I wasn't making this video, what I do is I'll probably be start searching for my gears. I'll probably be trying to improve my engravings and also my gems. You can see those are very behind compared to everybody else. So remember guys, there's no need to rush your homing unless you have enough materials. And if you're asking me whether you want to spend gold on those homing, I still recommend wait a bit, because the materials over here, they are likely going to drop in price. so I don't recommend buying too much Leapstones and buying everything from the market and forcefully homing with a lot of gold. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, make sure you do so, because we'll be getting a lot of guides, a lot of tips as I discover them, and I love the game. So I want to share as much as I can with you guys, and let's have a great time in Lost Ark as we explore this game and get the most out of it.